They say technology makes our lives easier. For work, to learn, to travel, to communicate. But there are things that machines cannot yet do. Things as important as engaging, putting themselves in your shoes, having intuition, or making intelligent decisions. In an increasingly technological world, we need professionals who provide intelligent solutions based on their know-how. Because there are things that technology cannot yet do for you. The human tech.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today on the 29th of June. Actually, today we thought it was a good opportunity to talk about investment or buying a property through the court, through the Spanish system. I'm going to introduce you now in the panel. We have a lot of experts today. On one side, as a lawyer, we have Michael Davies from Almeria, Andalusia. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
We have on the other side, Pedro Heredia from Alicante. Hello, Pedro.
Hola, Ignacio. Hello.
And on the real estate basis, we have Inmolufran over there. He's a group of people. Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Hello. Good evening. Good afternoon.
Right. Okay. Today we're going to start talking about buying a property in Spain in a safe way. We've got the privilege to have Michael Davies. He's been practicing law here for many, many years, and he's been handling a very difficult conveyance, easy, and sometimes okay conveyancing. So he's got a lot of experience. He's going to explain to you to start with what he recommends if you're planning to buy property in Spain as an investment or just for yourself. Over to you, Michael.
Hi, Ignacio. Thank you for inviting me to one of these great webinars. I think they're very useful for people. So I know we didn't have much time to talk at the beginning. I understand that we're going to explain the sort of three main ways of buying a property in Spain. So I'm going to do second-hand property purchase. Pedro's going to do new properties are under construction, and then you've got a whole team that I can see there in the background to talk about purchasing property at auction, which is obviously the most complex. Okay, so my name is Michael Davies. I'm a Spanish lawyer, been in practice for just under 30 years now. My offices are in Majaca, the province of Almeria, and in Marbella. So I've got the easy one today, which is how to purchase a property, second-hand property in Spain. It's the easiest, but it's also the most common way of purchasing a property. So therefore, probably useful for the majority of the people that are watching. Okay, so let me take you through steps. How long have I got, Ignacio? 10 minutes? What sort of timeline?
Yeah, maximum. If you could squeeze it in.
Yeah, 10 minutes better. Okay, perfect. So we'll start with the beginning. And that is the first step. People think it's to find the property. My advice would be the first step would be to find a lawyer that's going to represent you once you've found the property that you like. So once you've narrowed out the area of Spain where you do want to purchase your property, I'd start looking for a lawyer. For conveyancing, I think they need to be fairly local. There is an advantage for the lawyer to be fairly local, so within a couple of 100 kilometers maximum of the property where you're purchasing. In our case, we only handle transactions in Andalusia, and I know Pedro handles them in the north of Valencia. You handle them in the Alicante area, etc. So the main rule of thumb regarding finding a lawyer, which is a very important decision, is to not simply choose the lawyer that's recommended to you by the estate agent. So dedicate some time. Lawyers are not commodities. They're not all exactly the same. So take some time to look around for a good one. So with that out of the way, once you've found the property that you like, most estate agents are going to be after you paying down a reservation agreement of normally €3,000 just to take the property off the market while they organize paperwork and send it off to your lawyer. This doesn't necessarily have to be this way, but in 90% of the cases, this is basically what happens. So you'll put down the €3,000. He will then put your lawyer in contact with the lawyer of the sellers, and your lawyer is going to start requesting documentation to move towards what we call the 10% deposit contract. In the interim, you'll meet up with your lawyer if you haven't met before, and that would be a mistake. But if you haven't met up before, you'll meet up with him and you'll start organising power of attorney in his name. And he will also open up a bank account for you at a local bank where he can later set up your direct debits and things like this on the property. So after the reservation has been signed and before the deposit contract is signed, there's lots of things that the lawyer has to do. He'll do the basic searches in the property register, town hall, etc., to make sure the property does belong to the seller. There's no charges, or at least if there are charges like a mortgage, it is disclosed by the seller so they can organise it to be cancelled on completion. So he will move you towards that 10% deposit contract. Now, when the 10% deposit contract is signed, the money can be transferred directly from your home country to the account of the seller, the seller's lawyer, the estate agent. Now, the balance of the money for the completion, you will normally send to that new account that your lawyer will have opened for you at that Spanish bank using the power of attorney that he granted you. A normal sort of completion period in Spain is sort of within 2 to 3 months. You can see completions as long as a year, if that's what the buyer and seller wants. But a sort of usual period will be within 2 and 3 months. And if somebody really wants to complete something really, really quickly, the quickest you can sort of do it in Spain would be 3 to 4 weeks. So we've got to get your Spanish NIE numbers and things like that. And that takes a certain amount of time. So when you actually complete on the property, normally it will be the lawyer that completes for you. He will hand over a banker's draft issued on the account where it will have been opened previously, on money that you will have sent over to that account. Something else for you to look into will be the cheapest way of getting your money over from the UK to Spain. Some people do it directly, transfer from their own account in the UK to their Spanish bank account. Others use currency companies. This is something for you to study and look into again before everything starts moving very quickly, which is when we're all organising contracts. So that's another thing to look into in advance. So the day that you complete at the notary will complete for you. The system is absolutely foul-proof if it's used correctly by your lawyer. The lawyer will do a last-minute search to make sure that everything is exactly as he saw when the deposit contract was signed. He will also, if there is a mortgage, he will find out in advance what the redemption figure is. And if there is a mortgage, the bank manager from the bank manager of the mortgaging company, the company that had lent today's sellers the money, will be there to cancel the mortgage and receive the redemption amount, which will be deducted from the purchase price. Likewise, if you are in turn taking out a mortgage on the purchase, then apart from your lawyer being present at the completion, your bank will be there as well to hand over the banker's draft for the mortgage amount. Most of this you don't actually see happens, because if you've got a lawyer, he'll be taking care of it in the background. It's just so you have a feel of what actually goes on. The lawyer will ask you before completing what you want him to do with the keys. Either he takes control of the keys at the moment of completion, or they're left with the estate agent or somebody of your choice. The moment we sign at the notary, you are the owner of the property, and therefore you have to insure the property, etc., in your name. Your lawyer will explain the different options you've got regarding insurance. The lawyer will set up the direct debits on the property, which normally are at least for electricity, water, rates, rubbish, and community of owners, exception sometimes gas as well. He'll set all those up by direct debit, and then he will take charge of paying your transfer tax, the notary fee, the registrar fee, etc. He will normally take an amount on account the day that he goes to complete to pay for transfer tax, notary fee, registrar fee, and solicitor's fee. And then he will give you an exact breakdown at the end when everything's complete, a month and a half later, which is when he hands over your title deed. All lawyers that know what they're doing will always recommend, if you're a foreigner, that at the same time you purchase a property, you make a will in Spain in reference to your Spanish assets. And as a lawyer, that my main dedication has been handling probate for expats for forever, it seems now, for 30 years. I can definitely say without any doubt that you should make a Spanish will if you buy a property in Spain. As far as the cost of buying a property in Spain, well, here in Andalusia, they're slightly lower than up in the Valencia region, where the rest of the colleagues are today from this webinar. Down in Andalusia, transfer tax on second-hand properties is 7%. Up in the Valencia region, it's 10%. So in total, on a transaction of €200,000, all the taxes and fees down in Andalusia will come to around 10%, including the solicitor's fee. If the property is of a higher value, the percentage goes down slightly, but it will never be less than 9% in total. If it goes above 200,000, sorry, if it goes below 200,000, the percentage will go a bit higher to a maximum of 11%. If it goes if the amount of the purchase price is more than €200,000, the total percentage will come down a little lower than the 10%, simply because notary fee, registrar's fee vary, but not that much, depending on the increase in value of the property. If you buy up in the Valencia region or in the Balearics, then you have to add on 3% to these amounts, because the transfer tax, as I say, is 10% instead of 7% down here in Andalusia. The other thing that we always mention to clients that purchase a property in Spain is to take into account the future taxes and fees that you'll be paying. It's important to know what they are. So your lawyer will go through what these sort of are in your particular case, but as a sort of guideline. Apart from, so we've got the purchase cost, which is roughly that 10%. Then you've got a running cost. I mean, any property, property of €300,000, if you don't rent it out, think along €2,000 or €3,000 a year in expenses for community of owners and things like that. This is a very approximate guideline, okay? Just so that you have sort of an idea. Every year, if you're a non-resident, you also have to file a non-resident hypothetical income tax return. These are relatively small amounts. In some regions of Spain, they've still got wealth tax. So if you're worth more than €700,000, you could be paying wealth tax, like in the Valencia region. There's no wealth tax down here in Andalusia now. Inheritance tax used to be very, very different. In Andalusia, we had a fantastic deal for inheritance tax, very bad deal in the Valencia region, the Balearics. That's all changed now. But inheritance tax, from all practical purpose, is the same now in Andalusia, Valencia, and the Balearics, which is the three main places where at least our clients end up purchasing. And in all cases, the deal for children and spouse and other direct descendants is fantastic. I mean, basically, in practice, you pay no inheritance tax worth talking about in the case of it being a spouse or a descendant receiving the estate. I don't know if I've run out of my 10 minutes, Ignacio.
Yes,
Yes,
we're
okay.
going to come back, Michael. We're going to come back with questions, because Nigel is asking you some questions for you to go back. I'm going to just jump into now, Pedro. We're going to just jump into the subject that today we're talking about. What about if I decide to buy a property through the auction procedure? Pedro, would you like to start sharing how somebody could organize or could check on a daily basis what properties are in Spain ready for auction? And please, if you could just tell us a little bit more about, if anybody's interested, what they should do. I think, Pedro, you don't have the microphone on. I don't know.
Okay.
Can you listen, Pedro?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello? Okay.
Yes, we can listen now.
Ignacio, I think you can see my
Yes.
right now computer. You can see the page.
What is this, Pedro? What are you sharing with us?
.es. This is the electronic auction webpage, which is in like is public office, is public publishing, where the real estate properties are going to be in an auction, or have been, or are at this time, or will be in an auction. So obviously, in this case, this is the initial web page where everyone who wants to buy at the end in an auction a property must enter on this website and do the auction's bid also in the website. Obviously, it needs to be inscribed into the iniciación, needs to be updated with the electronic signature. But let's go to the map of Spain. Let's click on Alicante, where I'm based, and let's click on, I don't know, let's click on, we could do it Alicante, for example. It's simple. I mean, obviously, here you just, there's results in Alicante province right now.
Region.
There are
It is the region, isn't it, Pedro?
region. This is 94 properties in the region of in the province of Alicante. If we could go like a filter in order to look for a property into this specific province. For example, Celebrando says that this time right now is on auction, is on celebration. It is the time to make the bids, or it's going to be approved in the future, or it right now is suspended, or it's cancelled, or everyone. Let's click on which one are at this time on celebration. Celebration, I mean, is taking right now through the auction. And could be an auction by court. Normally, I would say 95 or 99% of the auctions come from the court, but could also be from notary office, from a
tax office, yeah,
or from other kind of administrations, and in this case from taxes. So, and this you can filter obviously and look for a property. But let's click on that in general. Which one are at this time on
publish, yeah,
publish, and then let's click on Alicante. And let's say buscar. And then we can see there are 12, at this time, 12 properties. And we can see here, for example, it's a vivienda en cuarta quinta planta. For example, let's click on this one. It's in the court number 6. So obviously the way to find the property and check all this and is something that needs to be, el valor de subasta es 49.000, is 49,000 euros, the value of the auction. And this is because it's claimed, in this case, let's see if appears there is no bid at this time. And we could also get information about the property with this reference and cadastral. It's Calle Villa de Chiva. Obviously, needs to be checked where is the property. Take a look on that. I recommend going personally there and check about the property. And there are some information here that we could appear. Is a certificación de cargas, for example. Let's check this time this one. And here appears some information about the property registry, where appears the description of the property, and appears who is the owner, and appears, in this case, Caja de Ahorros de Valencia, Castellón y Alicante, que es Banco Sabadell. And also there is an embargo from the municipality of Alicante. Also, all these things need to be checked in order to see where is the debt and obviously what is the situation about the property. So in this case, the value of the auction is 49,000 euros, and there is no minimum bid. And you need to deposit to start. In order to make the bid, the minimum deposit is 2,490, which is 5%. And once you enter on the bid, and then someone makes a higher bid, a minimum higher bid, it is not just I offer 30,000 euros and the following one is going to offer 30,000 euros and €1. So it is 30,000 euros plus 996, and it's a minimum. You could obviously offer, let's say, 35, or but at least if someone offers 30, the following one needs to offer at least 30,996.28. Okay. And so this is obviously as simple as I said, is entry on the province, and then just to click on or look for a little bit, let's say again, Alicante, about all this. This, for example, is some lotes where we can see that there are some difference because of property and the value of the auction is this. There is a reference in cadastral here. We can check and go to the cadastral office and see it rapidly. What is the property? And the minimum, obviously, the deposit is 5%, which is 5,491. What if you do not win the bid at the auction? At the end, is going to be paid back to you later by the court. Okay, there is another this property, Calle Virgen de Gracia. Well, this is just information. There is public information that that is on the website as much as we can. And obviously, once you enter and you are updated in this database, you will get some other information. Let's say this example again. this is information from the bank, from the property registry web page, which is the mortgage. In this case, a mortgage is claiming a mortgage. CaixaBank is applying to the debtors, and obviously it's a charge in the property registry, and appears all this information, which is crucial to know it, and now what is the debt. Okay. What
Pedro,
else?
that's very good. Shall we explain to them? I mean, Richard is saying, what is the website? I did share with them how to access on a daily basis to the property website of the courts. Okay, you will need the digital certificate or do it through your lawyer. As Pedro, probably Pedro, the problem I find is that it looks pretty good, is very good, is nice description, but I think we need to touch base, don't we? I mean, we really need to do an inspection or at least know where the property is and whether you're really interested for the price is being auctioned. What do you think about this?
Absolutely. I mean, this is something that it is not just to see. I mean, obviously, if you can make a bid and a lower price than 70% or lower price than, and then you will speak about the percentages that is needed in order to get or win a bid. But obviously, you could at the end in some way you could also win a bid in a lower price, in a very low price. But obviously, it's important to check the property. Because you don't know how the structure is, you don't know how the situation of the building is, you don't know how if there are some other, some occupas, or let's say squatters, someone living there, or someone is living there as a rental contract. Maybe it's not inscribed in the property registry. In some ways, needs to be checked what's going on in the property to see really if the value that was approved by the bank, because let's remember that this comes from a bank that has given money to buy a property, which is a mortgage in the property registry. These cases that we said. And obviously there's a value, and let's see the value, market value is still that market value, or maybe it's higher. In many cases, I would say 90% of the cases is higher. But also maybe the property is not in well conditions. Maybe the property is obviously needs to be some works on the property and needs to be invest some money in the property. So this is something important in order to check before anyone who wants to buy a property in an auction. Ignacio.
Pedro, going straight into probably an opportunity that we wanted to share today with the audience, and then probably Lufran will explain a bit more. I did share with you now the auction, which is says abierta subasta. This is a typical. If you double click here on the chat, you will see one option opportunity here, as many as Pedro stated, but this one is a real case that we are sharing it with you. If you double click here, the auction, you will see the identification of the auction. Then you will see what day is the due date. Now, important here, if you want to bid, you'll have to organize yourself. I will recommend you 2 days in advance. And this one actually is a property value for €1 million, which is starting from 600,000 euros auction. Okay. Now, if you read here what I share with you, this is a real case and it's public. The minimum deposit that if you want to bid, 51,341. Okay, so anyone who wants to try to bid for this property, they need to deposit through this system or through your lawyer, through this system, this 5% always of the valuation auction value. Okay, now if you see here as well, what I could do, I could try to share it, but if you double click here, you will see that every bid is a minimum of 20,500 euros. Okay, and this is how it works. Normally, from my experience, everything starts the very last day. Oh, here we go. Juanfran, could you please show us a little bit more about this case, about the property, if you've got it here? I think you're sharing, or shall I share it with you? Let me just share it. Okay. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Right. Well, this is a real case. I did attach to you the auction date. So the due date is on next Wednesday. Okay. This is a good opportunity. We picked this one because I think there are not that many villas in the center of Playa San Juan. And actually here, the starting point is 600, well, the valuation is 1 million. Now, I'm sharing here a valuation from Lufran here as a realtor. If you could see the type of property, almost 5,000 square meters. Apparently, on the description, it's got a garage. It's got a swimming pool, I believe, a garden and storage. This is the area in Alicante where you could see I consider is very well located. And shop around. If you go there on this street, you will not see that many for sale. Then the realtor did make some description of the property here for your interest, just and the area. Okay. Now they considered that the auction is starting from 600, but the real value could go probably up to 950,000. They couldn't access to the inside of the property, and this in the auction is the main problem sometimes. You cannot really access to the property to know the ins and outs. So it's hard to know the real value. Sometimes you bid for a low value, and then you end up having a good value for money. In general, I always think if you find the right property here or as an investment, always along with your lawyer and along with probably a estate agent that could give you a little bit of reference, I think is a good opportunity for you to buy always below market value. Right, more things I wanted to share with you here on a real case. Let me just say here, I think this one here, I'm gonna just share with you another document, which is here, is the auction. Okay, the auction date, which I think you've seen it already. Let me just see if I can find it now. This is the important one. If you want to write it down, just if you want to bid through yourself or through your lawyer. Okay. Now, if I share it, you will get this number. If I'm able to do it. Right, I don't know if you, Pedro, could share it as well.
Here we are.
All
Okay.
right, you manage. Okay, no.
Okay, so you can see
this is not the
here.
one. Oh, yes, that's correct. That's the one I'm talking. Yeah.
Friday, 28th of June, 2024. At this time is 6 o'clock. And second, I mean, and this is the name of the subasta. Is the number of subasta is 23-1810. But this is, I mean, let's start. I'll show you how to look for this kind of properties. As you go to, in this case, province of Alicante. Well, in this case, as we know, the address is. Let me show to you again. The address is in Calle Ciprés. Is that right?
Number 12.
Calle Ciprés. So I just click on Alicante province, the Calle Ciprés.
Just check. Yeah, I don't know if it's in Valenciano.
This easily.
And then just open it there. Yeah, if you open. Right. Could you open this one, Pedro? Could you open? Double click. Right. And could you? Yeah.
There appears this certificado de cargas, where obviously appears all the information about the property registration, about the name of the debtor.
So you have the auction order, the certificate from the land registry,
mortgage here included. Obviously, has started all this proceeding.
Right. And this, as we said, this is due on the 3rd July. Right. Important things for you to know. 5% always deposit of that money, of whatever money is the property. Important thing to know the property. I picked this one here because this is one that the realtor have already been there and knows much more. So there is a lot of information more than paperwork. If you do it yourself, you'll find all these documents online, but you'll need to visit.
I'm showing.
Sorry?
Which is in
Sorry, Pedro?
that is the property I'm showing right now. That is a property,
Okay.
which is a well-known area of Alicante, a village, a very calm way, and there's a golf area, obviously very close.
Okay. Right. Now, Pedro, I think I'm going to pass on to Lufran, who are realtors. They do purchase, sales, investments as well. And they did advertise this property for sale. So they've got a lot of experience on it. Okay. So they're representing as well parties involved in the procedure. I'm going to pass it on to he is representing the company. We've got Fran, Borja, Altman, and somebody else that I cannot remember now the name. Right. Okay. Right. This realtor company, they're specialized on buying, selling, renting, and investment through checking the properties that are going through auction, just to see whether probably is a good investment or not. Obviously, I considered that all these investments should be dealt through your lawyer, because if, as Michael said, buying a property in Spain is safe, and you will use a lawyer to represent you, particularly through an auction procedure, I highly recommend to have someone that knows how to cope with it, because you will see what happens on the 3rd of July. People will start bidding the very last day. You need to be ready to bid on every single sliding scale. So we're talking in this one, 20,000 euros sliding scale. So they will start with 600,000. Then if you're interested, you could say, well, I want it for 620. That's the minimum. You could still bid as much as you want. Now, important advice as well. There are many people bidding. You need to be as well aware that if the very last one that gets the property fails or doesn't, because if you fail, let's say you fail to complete in a way through the courts, you will lose your 5%. That's the law. That's what they say. The civil procedure law states, right? Now, but if you're the next one following, you really need to be committed, because if the first one fails, you are the second that you got the property. And if you don't buy it because you say, oh, I changed my mind, I really don't want, I bid, but I shouldn't, then you lose your 5% as well. So you really need to be committed to the property. You need to know the area. You need to have the people involved. But you wouldn't find, and this is from experience, you wouldn't find in general terms better prices than through the courts. Okay, well, obviously it is possible. Obviously, Michael is dealing with a lot of inheritance cases that probably you could get as well through good value. But it's hard because normally the creditor are giving up a little bit of their money that is due, and everybody starts into a negotiation. Now, I'm going to pass over to Altman, and he's going to explain to us what they do and how can they help investors choosing properties, probably through this system or through, as I said, inheritance like Michael's client have, or through buying, selling, or renting. Over to you, Altman.
Hi, thank you very much. We are Lufran, agency real estate, and the founder is my boss, Francisco, since 20 years ago. He starts with this business. Right now, we have different departments inside their agency, and one of them is for the investors. In that case, we work a lot with Pellicer, Heredia lawyers, and with another little investors here in Spain. In our case, the function of Lufran here for the investors, normally it's been his eyes in Spain and here near to the properties and to the opportunities. We have the objective to see by person the condition of the houses, also make an inform if needs some renovation and make it in the future with the buyer. Also, we are in continue communication with the creditors in that case. And we are talking with the government, with Borja. He's the lawyer normally who takes these cases, because I think in this investment, you need to have a very good team with you. Why? Because you can have a lot of little problems, or you need to see all of the details of the operation very, very well to make it with good profit to the investor in that case. Normally, Lufran starts like a normal agency here in Alicante, but right now has 2 offices here in the Alicante city center. And we have a lot of clients, a lot of opportunities also from that clients. So I think it's a good team to start this way and start this adventure for the investors.
Okay. Odman, do you want to tell us a little bit more? I don't know if I know Borja is a lawyer who's dealing with this particular auction and the front as well, representing creditors. Do you want to say anything more about this specific case, for example, because this is pretty much due very soon, and somebody might be interested to just probably today drive in, see what it look like. And obviously, I wouldn't recommend you later than probably Monday to put a deposit if it really fits into your budget and your expectations. Would you like to say something else, Omar?
Yes, also, for example, in this case, we try to look very, very well all the opportunities and see which is the best one. And also we go to the house and see with the minimum budget possible, try to renovate it and take some new look and have more profit in the operation. So I think it's very different ways you can up the profit. In this case, for example, for me, it's the best one I see.
Are you saying, Omar, that this particular auction you consider very good?
Exactly.
So you're saying value for money, this one could be a good opportunity, yeah?
So then house the margin for very good profit in the future also. Also, after COVID, I think the houses here in Spain, and especially here in Alicante, I think are more demanded by the buyers, touristic buyers or Spanish buyers. But I think the independent houses right now, the prices are growing up very, very fast than the flats or apartments. Why? Because the people, I think understands that freedom can give you the house. It's not like than the flat. So
one question here, probably, well, let's talk about in this case. My understanding from Borja, the lawyer who's representing the creditors here, is told me that there is some sitting tenants. Well, actually, the owner of the company is there. Do you have experience as well on negotiating with the person who's living there, or have you been dealing with these cases as well?
Me, no, but my boss and Borja, the lawyer, yes, a lot of times they go to the house and try to negotiate, start and negotiate step by step, because if you go directly, I think you can see, here in Spain, you see the teeth of the wolf, but I don't know it's good expression. But yes, if you go step by step and negotiate all with the doctor, you can make a very good operation and with all the guarantees.
Right. Let me just bring up a little bit more ideas here to the audience. So let's assume you have the 5%. It is within your budget, because if we're talking about a property of probably €1 million, and then you start from 600, probably nobody else noticed that this is for auction. You pay the 5%, and then you manage to get it. Obviously, there are specific rules. I think the creditors will have to accept it if it didn't reach 70% of the valuation. Okay, but let's assume the creditors accept it. The court says the best bid they had was this person who bid for, I don't know, 700 each, right? Then the court very fast, but it will award the title towards the person who did make the best bid, right? They have 40 days to find the money. This is important. They have 40 days to put down the rest of the money, so the 95%. Okay, and after that, it is granted award the title. You don't need to go to the notary here. The judge is the one who confirms you are the owner of that property, and you only need to pay the 10% transfer tax, as Michael stated, in a normal conveyance, and take it to the land registry, or your lawyer will do all these dealings and buy the property through the auction. Now you're the owner. You have the owner living there. There are you could ask the court as the owner of the property to evict them. Okay, so this is a reality. I mean, one way is Lufran, through their representing investors, might deal with that as well for the clients that might go with them. But the other way, the legal way to do it as well, just ask the court to evict the sitting tenant or the owner. Okay, now it will depend. I don't recommend you to be in a rush, because normally this could take time. I will give you an average of 3 to 6 months to evict. Okay, from there you will need to change your title, the utility bills in your name, so the water, the electric, the community of owners. In this case there is not, because it is a property, and be the owner of that property for a good value, and then you probably could put it up for rent, live it yourself, sell it, and obviously you need to bear in mind capital gain tax as well if you're resident or you're non-resident, okay? Because there is always a sliding scale if you're resident, or a flat fee if you're a non-resident. I don't know if Michael wants to make some questions or comment, because he's been listening and reading all these questions that we're having. Michael, would you like to say something else as well? I don't know if Nigel wanted to say something for you as well about buying a property in Spain.
Well, about I've got nothing much to say about the auctions, because it's something that I've really have no experience with whatsoever, buying at auctions. I know it's complex. There are people that deal with this and a specialist in it. Like I know that you've done quite a few now already. So it's outside of my expertise. I just prefer, I think if you keep to it, you're doing a good job. And then just as somebody here that is asking about a normal purchase, where they've put Nigel Wood at it's 1742, 10% contracts, the key milestone. What is reasonable time frame for this to be completed, and should any undue delay be of a concern? Well, who knows? I don't know, because Nigel, you'll need to speak to your lawyer and ask him what the delay is, because it could all be absolutely normal. Why? Because sometimes it takes time to gather the documentation, then you do a search, and there could be something that's not clear, so you have to go back to the other lawyer. Somebody can be on holiday. You don't know. So, I mean, what I would say is simply, normally you should be able to speak to your lawyer and just ask him, is there a delay, not a delay? Is there a problem? So basically, months gone by since you took down the reservation, he'll have you some information, either he's waiting for a document or things. So I just basically say, have a word with your lawyer, and he should have a reply which should sound reasonable. And if it's not, well, then start worrying.
Michael, there is Francis asking here some questions. He's going through the process of collecting paperwork for non-lucrative visa, and he says needs an address in Alicante is needed. Obviously, renting, or just a place where they're going to stay, obviously, for the non-lucrative visa. The question is, how can we buy a property without a visa? Yeah, well, obviously the answer is yes, you could buy a property with just an NI number. And do I need a local bank account? Well, in this particular case, you will need it. Okay, you will need eventually. But in this particular case, you could deal through the escrow account of your lawyer. So if you don't make it on time, you could transfer the money, and your lawyer could buy a property on your behalf. If we're talking about auction, if we're talking about a normal conveyance, You could do with the lawyer could do with power of attorney, and could open a bank account. You could transfer the money into your specific bank account, and then the lawyer will get the banker's draft, even if you're in the States, Francis, because you're representing you. So back to the question.
Okay.
Could I?
So I'll just point out with that, people think that it's impossible to buy a property without an NIE number, but in reality, you could even sign the title deed without an NIE number and provide it to the notary a couple of weeks later. And regarding the bank account, the same. You can open up the bank account with your passport. You will need P60s, proof of income, proof of address, etc., and then provide the NIE number later. So these people, they can purchase their property without any problem. Their lawyer will request the NIE number, and the lawyer will open up a bank account for them to handle the purchase. There's no problem.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think we've got here another question as well from Roger. Roger's asking if there is a portal to place a brand new property for auction. We have just taken back possession of one and want to sell it quickly. Well, if you want to sell it quickly, you probably could rely on an estate agent. The portal to place a brand new property, any private portal will work. You could go Idealista, or you could go with a private realtor like Lufran, or you could go, I don't know what area you are in, Roger, but you could just, but that portal will not be for auction. That portal will be for sale. So the auction only goes when you are a creditor, the debtor doesn't pay you, and you force sale through the courts, and you buy through the courts as a third party. In your case, you're already the owner of the property, and then the only thing you could do is guess a price and see how it goes. That will be my guess, Michael, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Ignacio, I think what they're referring to, there is the odd estate agent. I've come across them in the Marbella area and in the Valencia region and in Almeria, in fact. Basically, they're just estate agents. They sort of set up a sort of business where they offer to auction off a property for somebody, to try and sort of, they give they put it on their portal. They, within 2 weeks, see what offers we get, and we'll go for the highest one. They sort of set up a sort of auction, but I haven't really seen any of these sort of attempts at a new way of marketing actually working correctly. But that's what they're referring to. I think they've probably seen an agent that advertises that they organize auctions and guarantee that they'll sell the property within a couple of weeks and things like that. I haven't been very happy with the ones that I've seen.
Okay, right. I know it's in Spanish. Pedro did explain how the website works for the auction, but as I said, Roger, these auctions are public. Okay, you have the manual for what to do and who can bid. Okay, so I gave you the website, the manual, and who can bid. I don't know if I think Omar left. I don't know if Hugo wants to say something else. Hugo, would you like to add something else about what you could do for clients? Like Roger is asking here. I think you've got the microphone off.
Yes, sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, Roger was asking, I don't know if you're dealing with cases as well, private auctions. I don't know if Fran, Borja, and Juan are dealing with private auctions through your clients. I don't know if that's something that you do. If you want to translate it to Fran,
yes, of course.
or I could translate it to Fran. Fran, subastas privadas. No sé si la pregunta a través de vosotros, si tenéis un producto de subasta, tenéis pujas con vuestros clientes, no lo sé, privadas.
Pues se puede ver el tema de la subasta notarial también. Esa es una subasta. Sí que es cierto que en el mercado actual hay tanta demanda que hay propiedades que los clientes al final acaban pagando más por la competencia que hay.
Yes, and now the market is very high. So sometimes some private properties that we sell, the clients, maybe sometimes we can have 2 clients on the same operation to buy the property. And sometimes some clients, one pass an offer like to 2,000-3,000 less of the price, and the other client pass an offer 1,000 plus of the other price. And yes, it's like a private auction start in this case with the clients who want to buy this. So that happened now because of the market is very high. So the properties, it's like gold, you know, but now in Spain, in Alicante.
Okay. I know prices are going up all the time. Michael, I think in your area, I don't know if in your area is growing as well, but in this area, yes, is the price a bit crazy, Michael? What about in Almeria, Marbella? How are the prices over there? Are they a bit crazy as well?
Yeah, both in Marbella and Majaca, the feeling we get, there's one thing I agree with something I once said something before. The individual houses on plots since COVID have all very, very sort of hot. The market's very heavy. There's lots of people from Madrid wanting to move down to the coast and live there permanently. And so that in itself, and also the high end of the market is very frothy, I think, at the moment. The lower end of the markets, there's certain pockets of low value properties, I don't know, maybe in Torrevieja and things like that, that I think have been affected by Brexit. But it's basically those at the low end of the market, because those people that have got like €150,000 flat in a place where it is very dependent on UK buyers and not from other countries, that's the only sort of market that we see is a bit weak. But everything else is very there's a lot of demand at the moment. That's my feeling, at least from what we can see from our offices, basically.
Hugo, would you like to add anything else with regards to I don't know if you guys are handling more properties with this type of auctions. Do you want to add anything else, Hugo?
Yes, of course. It's for us, it's a pleasure to help people and to guarantee some kind of things when they want to buy or if they want to sell a property. So I can say by myself and my boss and Borja that we are a good team, very professional, and we give all the tools to the clients that we have to do the best deal they can find in the market, especially in Alicante, because we are in Alicante. So that's it.
Okay.
We work hard, and if I don't know, if someone have any question, they can just put it in the chat, and it's not a problem for me to help. Right.
Your website is Lufran Casas? Or?
Yes. Lufran.com. Lufrancasa.com.
Inmolufran.
Oh, Inmolufran.com.
Sorry, say it again.
Inmolufran.com.
Okay.
Okay.
Inmolufran.com. Okay, that's the one. Okay. Right. Michael, would you like to say anything else? You have so much experience about buying a property in Spain. They might contact you now because they want to buy a property in Marbella through the auction procedure. Would you like to wrap up with some comments, because your experience is high, Michael?
Okay, so well, basically, my name is Michael Davies. Our firm's called Davies, Abogados, Solicitors and Barristers. We've been around since 1994. We're based down in Majaca, in Almeria province, and in Marbella. Conveyancing, we only handle in Andalusia because we think it does require certain local knowledge and we don't like to leave. Our inheritance work, we handle all over Spain. That's it in a nutshell. Basically, to tell people that buying a second-hand property in Spain or a new property, if you do it through an independent lawyer that knows what they're doing, is 100% safe, as long as the procedures are followed. This other process that's been explained today that I don't know much about, buying through auction, I do know of people that have bought through auction. I know that the opportunities that exist through the purchase at auction are very good, but the reason that they're very good is it's quite complex, the procedure. So there's not that many people doing it. I do know people that do it as a sort of almost as a profession. They do it, they buy properties, and they make very good money out of that process. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's hard work. Because I know if you buy a property at auction and there's a certain tenant, you've got to get them out. It's all involved. So if you're an investor and you're prepared to sort of do a little bit of extra legwork and sort of have certain delays and buy something without seeing and things like that, it's probably worthwhile looking into it. And definitely, though, do it in the, hire a professional like Ignacio Pellicer up in the Valencia region, or Pedro Heredia, or someone that knows what they're doing to sort of hold your hand all the way through the process, because I think it's necessary. But the opportunities are good. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Michael. If you could please put your email, website, etc., just in case they want to contact you, that would be great. I did share the website from Inmolufran in case they want to just look properties, etc., etc. Again, as I said, we've got experience on the auctions, as Michael stated. I know you need to be patient. You need to deal with a little bit more stress than a normal conveyance, which normally is stressful, but this is only an investment. The money, the 5% that you deposit in the court is safe, because if you don't get that, you will get it back, even though it's going to take time. So that money might take probably 3 months' time.
That was a question actually I had. I was just wondering, how long does it usually take the court? I know they've got to wait to see the first one comes through, because otherwise it goes down to the second. Now, how long in general does it sort of take them to get that 5% back to clients?
I mean, Michael, my experience from me personally bidding when I did it, it took me an average of 3 months to get it back. Okay. Obviously, if it's little money, it doesn't hurt. When it's big amount of money, you might need it. So you need to budget that. It's not going to be very, very fast. Dealing with the administration, you know how stressful it is. So, but yes, in this case, if people are bidding for this sort of money, they need to make sure that within three months, they're not going to need the 51,000 euros in this case. The money is guaranteed because it's in the escrow account of the court. And as I said before, you could have your digital certificate and access where Pedro show you around. You don't need to have the digital certificate, but you need to open an account with that. It's very simple, to be honest. The only problem I find there, Michael, is that it's only in Spanish and might be difficult for them to match the language barrier, the property, because the property number, cadastral number. So I really think in this case, they need professional if they want to do this sort of business. But I really think the value for money is good. But that's what, as you said, that's why you earn your money, because it takes time. And
it's complex. Otherwise, everyone
because it's complex. Everybody will start doing. That's why you get a great deals here. But as Michael stated, if you're not that thinking about this through the auction, you're buying like in a property market situation. I think you could still find good deals. It will be harder probably, but you could still look around. I encourage you to probably see the website of any realtors like Inmolufran or any of that you could think of. And then we're ready to go, Michael. We're ready for the weekend now. Thank you for joining us today. As I said, if by any reason any of the investors wants to mention about this case, please email us urgently, because otherwise we will not have time to help you. If I'm going to put it here, the email address, but you go into the website. If by any reason you think it might work, this one or any other investment, time frame is quite limited. Okay, I'm sorry we running out of time, Roger. We're trying to be strict here, but please send us the questions on an email, and we'll be able to get it and hopefully represent you through all these complex procedure. Thank you, Inmolufran. Thank you, Michael. Marcelo, thank you very much. And Juanfran, over to you. Hopefully in July.
Buying a property in Spain. There are many reasons to purchase a property in Spain. The climate, the food, the culture, or simply to enjoy life. If you already see yourself buying the house of your dreams in the Mediterranean, it is important to be cautious and follow a series of steps. First, prepare a budget and take into account all the possible expenses. Remember to add transfer tax or VAT to the sale price, as well as legal fees, notary fees, and land registry fees. And even if it was love at first sight, do not rush or sign anything. The most important thing, especially if you're not yet a Spanish resident, is to hire an independent lawyer, a specialist who speaks your language and solely defends your interests. Together, you can review the characteristics of the house, should it have pending charges, negotiate a mortgage with the banks, and you will always be up to date throughout the whole process. But most importantly, fall in love with your property and do things by the book. Your new life starts there. Pellicer and Heredia, international lawyers.